Oh, what led me to filmmaking was I started in theater. I grew up doing theater pretty much my whole life since I was a little bitty tot. And it just goes away. When you're done, the theater just goes away. And it's wonderful, but it's so temporary. And I really wanted something that would have a wider audience and a wider reach, and be able to, I don't know, reach more people. A strong message, but it needs to reach more people than 200 or 300 people in the audience. So that's pretty much why I moved to filmmaking. I mean, I love storytelling and I like all the art forms, but filmmaking lasts. You can leave a legacy that way. You can say something and people 100 years later can hear you. So a typical day in filmmaking. Well, let's differentiate between indie filmmaking and professional Hollywood filmmaking. And in indie world, there is far less organization. So it's more frustrating than dealing with the. I think I'm an organized person, and I like pre-production. So it's a lot of planning, and it's a lot of trying to get people to plan with me. So yeah, I guess that would be a typical day. I don't really have a typical day, to be honest. Every day is different, except Mondays, but yeah. The Austin Film Meet is on Mondays. Yeah, that's, let's see, the Austin Film Meet is a weekly support, networking, and collaboration group for indie film and media makers in the Austin area, or Central Texas. We meet every single Monday. Usually we have a regular standard meeting. Sometimes we do special events. It's a great opportunity to meet people and get connected and work on projects. And actually that's how I got really connected in Austin, is through this group. I didn't start it. The guy who ran it before me left and asked me to step up to organize it, and I did, and I sort of listened to what was happening within the group. There were a lot of people that needed, like Bob would need something and Bill would have the answer, but they weren't talking, and so I really tried to bring format to the meeting to connect these people. And now we do an open mic kind of thing for filmmakers where you can stand up and introduce yourself and talk about your project, ask for help, and that seems to be so efficient at connecting people. It's really helped a lot of people, including me, be involved in a lot of projects. So in a short amount of time, I've been doing that for a year, since Valentine's Day of last year. So I make a very strong effort to keep tabs, if you will, on what's happening in Austin and the indie film scene, and really all of Texas, to be honest with you. I'm from Dallas-Fort Worth, and for probably about 3 years before I moved to Austin, I was watching, reading all the lists, reading all the publications that come from Austin, and really trying to keep up with who's who and what's going on, what projects are happening here, which is why I moved here. I moved here because so much stuff was happening in Austin. It was great. I know it was a little better because of the incentives. In 2004, I think, was the peak of the film production in the Austin, well, I would say Texas, statistically Texas. But it's gone down a little bit. But I personally think there's a lot of work here that isn't counted in those statistics, because there's a lot of people that are making projects that are kind of helping each other, and it's not on the record. They're not really being counted. So there is a lot of stuff happening here, despite what the statistics say, the incentive statistics. But yeah, I get to keep I get to know what's going on a lot. I really enjoy that quite a bit. It makes my job a little bit easier. It's a lot to keep up with, but it makes it easier to pick projects and know what's going on. If, running the group, I get to talk to a lot of people, so it's great. Yes, I am a creative superhero. Actually, for a long time, people would ask me what I do, and it's hard to go, oh, well, I'm a photographer and a web designer, and I'm an illustrator, and I write and illustrate children's books, and I have a background in acting, and blah, 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 blah. It's so much easier to just say a simple answer where it communicates the idea. And so it took me a few years, but I finally came up with a creative superhero. And part of that is that I have a lot of creative skills. Pretty much if it's creative, I've done it. And part of that is that I care very much about the cause. I guess I do art for a cause, if you will. I'm kind of an old hippie, if you will. So that's, I guess, the superhero part. Superheroes always do it for a good reason. So So yeah, I started writing and illustrating children's picture books when I was 9. I entered a contest called the Written and Illustrated by Landmark contest. It's a publishing company called Landmark, and if you win, they publish your book. Well, I didn't win. The first year I got narrowed down to the top 250 out of something like 7,500, which was pretty good. And then the year after that I got honorable mention, which is equivalent to like 3rd through 6th place. I don't know. Anyway, it was very inspiring and motivating and kept me really interested in this. I don't know, that's probably one of my biggest passions, is the writing and illustrating the children's books. I have probably about 15 stories, but I need to finish a few of them. One of the stories that I've been working on is Monterey Bay. It's about how to deal with death for a kid, and basically they go to the Monterey Bay Aquarium and sort of cope with it through this. The lead character in the book has the memory of going with their grandparent, and their grandparent passes away, and then they put the ashes into the bay, and so it's sort of dealing with that. And I don't know, I hope it turns out okay. Got some more illustrations to finish. The text is all done on that. Lately I've been helping a lot of people with their film projects. I try to help every project that comes through the group in some way or another. Often that's marketing. So right now I'm doing websites and photography for a lot of projects. I don't know, probably 8 or 10 different projects right now. But my own projects, I'm ready. Finally, I'm ready to start directing something, and so I'm going to be working on a couple of music videos this April, maybe May. I definitely like to take my time and do it right. So the first project is a video for a band called Bee Sting Sessions, and this is kind of complicated to explain, but we're going to try and simulate stop motion. We're going to build, I'm a very green person, so I've been saving trash for 2 years, and we're going to build a city made out of cardboard and trash. It's going to be a very loose replica of Austin, and then we're going to photograph the city of Austin, or the little cardboard city, with a moving camera where it's live action, but no characters and no motion on the set. And then we're going to photograph the band members doing the actions, and then take those photographs and digitally input them as if they were little paper stand-ups on the set. And then we're going to turn it from 24 frames per second to 8, so that it appears to be stop motion, but rather than having the stagnant background, it'll have very fluid moving shots. So it's really complicated, but it's kind of a new thing, and that's the plan right now. We'll see. We got to do some tests and see how that works, but I'm very excited. It's for a song called The Fallout, so it'll be fun. The city's going to be being bombed with love. I'm also working with someone else named Karen Chisholm. She's an awesome musician, and I'm going to be doing a video with her, I think, in the last week of April. We're going to be shooting, and we're going to try something fun where she walks backwards and sings backwards to the song, and then we're going to play it in forwards, where she'll be fixing things, but in a backwards way. It's kind of different, but I love to do fun stuff. There's a lot of other choices out there. Why would they pick your stuff? So I'm trying to pick good ideas.